just popped up on my phone. It just popped up. We good? Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming tonight. Bonjour tout le monde. Merci pour avoir venu ce soir to our regular council meeting this 13th day of May 2024. Roll call. All members of council are here and present except for Councillor Taranoski, who is away this evening. We will start with the territorial land acknowledgement statement and moment of reflection, followed by the national anthem. I ask everyone to please stand.
Nous reconnaissons que nous sommes sur les territoires non cédés des Anishinaabe et les terres traditionnelles des peuples Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat et Kanien'kehá:ka. Nous reconnaissons notre obligation commune de respecter, d'honorer et de préserver ces terres et les ressources naturelles qu'elles contiennent.
Merci. Whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law, let us take a moment of personal reflection. Okay. So now we'll move to item number 4, additions, deletions, and amendments. We have a couple. So we are going to move item 11I to be presented at just before 11A. So 11I will be before 11A, because I think there's a consultant coming in, Mr. Bogon. Okay. An addition of 18A at council member items from me for the federal government directive. We'll talk about that. And the 18B, the Rise Hockey Challenge Tournament and Summit on Diversity and Inclusion. Any other items that you guys want to add to the agenda tonight? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move to the adoption of the agenda. A motion to approve the agenda as amended. This is moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Déclaration d'intérêt pécuniaire? Hearing and seeing none. We'll move to the adoption of the minutes, regular council minutes of April 29, 2024. A motion to approve the following minutes as presented. Again, moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. All those in favor? And the motion is carried. Now we get to a special presentation for this evening. And I don't think I've seen this room filled as much as it has been in a very long time. And I want to thank everyone for coming out at this time of the day to be with us tonight, even if only for a short period of time this evening. And we also have some very special guests in the audience as well. So this is one of the things that I get to do sitting up here, and council will help me as well, is we have a Citizen Recognition for Leadership and Courage Award this evening that we want to present to somebody very special who is with us in the audience today. So I'm just going to read you a little something here, and then I'll ask one of our special guests to speak as well. So thank you everyone for joining us today as we recognize and celebrate one of our own. On April 22nd of this year, a bus transporting 12 students home from Russell Public School was involved in a collision with a transport truck. As a member of council, I was shocked and concerned when I was informed of the accident, but those emotions paled in comparison to what the parents must have been feeling upon hearing the news. However, upon learning that there were no serious injuries, it was the stories I heard afterwards that made my heart swell with pride. Rory Renwick, one of those 12 students on the bus that day, and is living proof of the impact one person can make, no matter your size or age. After the collision, Rory sprang into action to ensure the physical and emotional well-being of others on the bus were met. She provided comfort and assurance to the younger children while they waited for the first responders, and she continued to help until everyone was safely off the bus. At 11 years old, Rory is a reminder to all of us that we possess the potential to make a difference. For her compassion, courage, and leadership she demonstrated that day, I am honored to present Rory I am honored on behalf of council to present Rory with the Citizens Recognition Medallion, a symbol of gratitude from Russell Township, as well as the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. It is important to mention that Rory was not alone in her bravery that day. Alongside her were 11 other children, each displaying courage beyond their years. In the midst of chaos and uncertainty, they stood together, supporting and comforting one another. Their collective strength in the face of adversity is a testament to the resilience ingrained within our community. I would also like to extend a heartfelt appreciation to all of our first responders whose selfless service and sacrifices are what allow us to sleep comfortably at night under the blanket of their protection. Their swift and decisive actions during times of crisis ensure the continued safety and well-being of our community. I would also like to recognize Team CHIO, represented here today. You sprang into action without hesitation and were prepared to assist our residents the only way you know how, with courage, compassion, and commitment. I am sure it's never easy hearing the words Code Orange, but just know that we are extremely thankful that your facility is there in our greater community when we need you. Tonight, we also recognize the invaluable contributions of bystanders who, without hesitation, stepped in to lend a helping hand. In moments of crisis, it is these individuals who embody the true spirit of community and solidarity. I would also like to express our sincere appreciation to Alex Munter, the CEO of CHIO, for bringing Rory's courageous acts to our attention. Thank you to CHIO for their partnership and dedication to honoring acts of bravery and leadership. In closing, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for joining us today. Your presence here not only honors Rory and her fellow passengers, but also strengthens the bonds of our community. I would like to just mention that I believe all 11 other students are here as well with Rory tonight, and we will be presenting each and every one with certificates of bravery for being so courageous that day. It's just amazing to see. I would like now to ask Tammy Di Giovanni, who is the Senior VP Clinical Services and Chief Nursing Executive at CHIO, to say a few words as well. Tammy?
Thank you. Oh, shouldn't touch that. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, we'll get you a different one.
Okay. That's all right. Okay. Oh, maybe I'll just. For those of you that know Alex, this is perfect height for him, actually. I'm really pleased to be here tonight, so thank you on behalf of Council and on behalf of Alex Munter. I'm joined with two of my executive team colleagues, Jen Prue and Karen McCauley, who was actually our incident commander on April 22nd. And as you may know, CHIO is about to have a milestone birthday. And so we're actually turning 50 this week. And there's not a day that goes by that we're not left in awe about the resilience and the power that we see in our children and youth. But then there's these kinds of kids and these kind of events that really stop us in our tracks. And April 22nd was one of those days, and Rory's a prime example of that. With the first information from this scene that we got from the first responders, our trauma teams prepared to care for everyone that was on the bus. And in fact, as you noted, we called a code orange. And what that means is that for the first time in many years, we needed everyone in the hospital to come together to get ready for what we felt we were about to receive, and the patients as they arrived. You may have seen the pictures from the day of our trauma room, our emergency department, filled with teams that were receiving information from the scene through patch calls from the first responders. We received some news that some patients were on their way to us, and the trauma teams cared for them in their trained and practiced way. But then we received the best news possible, and it makes me emotional just to say that. We were able to stand down, and our incident commander, Karen McCauley, was able to clear our code orange. And as the EMS arrived and debriefed with our staff and our medical staff, we heard stories from the scene. They were about kids helping kids. And we heard about the unwavering composure and the determination that was on display in the face of what must have been, as you said, Jamie, chaos and uncertainty. They remained calm under pressure, and they demonstrated levels of maturity far beyond their years. We heard of how they stepped up to care for one another, and of one remarkable woman who led the efforts to organize, communicate, and selflessly help the others. That's leadership in action, folks, and it's an honor to be here today to recognize the group, and Rory in particular. There's an ongoing debate about whether leaders are made or born, and I would say it's probably a mix of both. But what I do know is that Rory will always be a leader in our eyes, and we'd love to have you on Team CHIO one day, Rory. So congrats on this recognition, and thank you to everyone.
So now I would ask that Rory come up over here by the door on this side over here so we can present an award, the Medallion Award, which is an amazing symbol of what you did that day. Council members, if you join me, please, for... Maybe a little later? I'm going to call each one of the kids up individually. If you want to come up and we'll stand and take a group picture. How's that? Okay? Jake Vaughn. Nathan Vaughn. Amir Sakizadeh. Chloe Butcher. Christopher Butcher. Nicholas Butcher. Daphne Geyser. Dylan Geyser. Serenity Geyser. Willow Geyser Harper. Levi Helmer. How about if we get everyone up front over here, and we're going to take a group picture, okay? Is that okay? All right, come on up over here, guys. Oh, everyone just move up in the front a bit. We're going to stand in the back, so make two lines up front, okay? Come on up over here, guys. Good job, guys. You ready?
Now we can see you.
You get everyone in?
I can't. Spider-Man, can you push a little bit that way? Oh, there. Now I can see you. Okay, I can see everybody now. Awesome.
One more picture. Yeah, Brian. Come on. Millie and come on. Get in here. Oh. Amazing. Big round of applause, everyone. Thank you, sir. All right, so we will take a couple-minute pause. You can all, you're all invited to stay for the rest of the meeting, but feel free to get up and go home with the kids and have dinner and everything. So again, thank you very much, everyone, for coming this evening, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you to everyone. I always like starting off those meetings like that with some amazing recognition for some brave young children of our community. And when I heard about that, that just had to be recognized. So thank you all for coming for that. All right, we'll move on to delegations and petitions. We have none. Consent items, that all items listed under the consent items be enacted by one motion. So a motion that all items listed be received as presented. The minutes of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee from April the 18th, 2024. Minutes of the Teens Advisory Committee, April 16th, 2024. And the minutes of the United Counties of Prescott-Russell, March 27th, 2024. This is moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deacon. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion is carried. We'll move on to reports from departments and committees. So we have a zoning bylaw amendment. Oh, no, sorry. We're going with, is the consultant here? Okay. So we're going to go to 11I. No, 11N, sorry. I made a mistake earlier. It's 11N. Oh, is that I? Sorry.
It is I.
It is I. I'm reading it wrong here. I was reading it as L. So we're going to go to solar panel installation on municipal land report ISPW 2024-06. Monsieur Godet, Mr. Bourgon, floor is yours.
Thank you. So last fall, we did receive a proposal from Bright Diamond to install, the proposal to install solar panel in our land and around the old landfill. So that presentation was made in front to the environmental committee. And we also looked at ag land that we do own around the landfill site, which now being a prime ag land, we stepped away from that portion of the proposal, but we still there's still the old sand pit that can be used. So to discuss a bit further about the proposal, I would invite Lucas from Bright Diamond to talk to council a bit further about the proposal.
Okay.
Hello, Council, Mayor. Thank you for your time today. Thank you, Jonathan, for inviting me. My name is Lucas Reindler. I'm the president of Bright Diamond Consulting. My colleague Michelle Klachik is in the room, and we are consultants in renewable energy based in Montreal, and having collectively over 40 years of experience in the Ontario and Canadian energy market. We prepared a presentation for the Environmental Committee in December, which we presented, and we talked about some opportunities for solar projects on municipally owned land at the dump site. So you see on the screen our proposal here, our presentation. I'll kind of go through these quickly to allow for some questions. You can check us out on brightdiamond.net, our website, with some of our experience, background, some of our company profile. If you could go to the next slide, please. There's some information about myself and Michelle here, but we'll leave that as some reading if you can go on. The context for this proposal is the future energy needs of Ontario. Ontario right now is in a shortfall of projected energy. You've probably heard this in other forums in the media across the province with municipal projects, a lot of battery storage projects and other gas plants and some renewable projects being proposed over the last few months and few years. We see a shortfall coming, and the IESO, the Independent Electric System Operator in Ontario, is planning and preparing draft documents for a long-term 2 procurement. That's what they call the LT2 process. This is going to be launched in the coming months, certainly by the end of 2024, and in 2025 they will expect projects to be bid. So that's the context why we think this is an opportunity now to present this project to help Ontario meet its needs, its energy needs, and to fulfill this IESO procurement. Next slide, please. This is the map of the municipal land, as you probably are aware and have seen before. The sand pit area is the south part of this land, the part lot 1, concession 4. There's about 25 acres or so of land there that currently is zoned ag, but we believe there are, is a grounds here to propose a rezoning to enable solar to be developed on this former sand industrial commercial land. To the north of this land, there's a small wetland in the middle, and further north is the capped sand pit, not sand pit, but the capped dump site, where some solar could be installed on surface only, no puncturing of the surface there. So between the north part of the land and the south part of the land, by our desktop evaluation, we believe there's approximately 45 to 50 acres of usable land for solar. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. That's the same context. In terms of the commercial proposal that we have, we typically see these types of projects bringing in annual rent to landowners, and we would propose that as a structure here to augment the payments that would be made for taxation, for the commercial taxation. But here we would pay an annual rent of $1,000 per acre used of this land, depending the final orientation of the project. And there's a tax portion. I apologize, on this slide there is an error in the tax calculations. This is an older version of the presentation, and there is an inconsistency there. I apologize for that. But the other tax numbers have been presented later on in the presentation from, I think, the report from the staff. Community benefit agreement would be proposed as well, which would bring added revenue, potential capacity funding, and green initiatives. Some of these details we can typically we put into place once the LT2 program is launched by the IESO, because often the community benefit agreement ties to added value to the township and extra scoring in the process. So we don't know the exact structure yet, but this is what we propose to enter into a framework agreement so that once the LT2 is launched, we can finalize those commercial structures. Finally, the last point is an opportunity to actually own equity in the project and perhaps be a minority investor owner of the project corporation. Next slide, please. Yeah. So then here are a few other benefits of such projects. As you're aware, emissions reductions and some of the low emissions targets that we have in Canada and in Ontario in general. Capacity building and diversification of your investments, your infrastructure fleet, and also some of your personnel at the township level that would learn and be employed or work on these type of projects, bringing some expertise. Short term, there's job creation for sourcing construction equipment, gravel, snow removals, all these kind of things that are just the local needs. We would always source those things locally. And long term, there would be some site managers for the site, albeit far fewer than during the construction. The main employment is during construction. Next slide, please. I will skip past this one to get to perhaps the most important aspect, which is the letter of intent. What we're seeking with the township is a framework agreement, which we have in draft. We'd like to present to you, where we agree over a certain period. We're proposing a 24-month term to finalize a land leasing arrangement between our company and the owner of the land, the municipality, and that this would enable us to prepare a bid for the LT2 procurement. The LT2 procurement has very distinct, clear requirements. We've seen this in the past. You might have seen this for LT1 or ELT. I'm not sure how many projects you have in this area, but there are these other procurements from IESO that have been proposed, and they look for municipal support resolution. They look for proof, sign-off from the township that they have a binding agreement in place with the developer, and potentially equity interest either at the township level or with an Indigenous partner. These are some of the ways that the project can score higher in the procurement process. These are all things that we would put under the framework with the LOI, the letter of intent structure that we're seeking. It would also outline a few of the commercial terms, the key commercial terms I've mentioned on the previous slide, and a few of these other points I have on the slides here. So I just went through that very quickly to open the floor to questions. Curious if there are any questions from council.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I did have one question for Mr. Godin and Mr. Boulgon. Tonight it's just asking us to receive the report. I'm assuming that the additional resolution for a letter of intent and all that would be something that would come back to us?
Yeah, exactly. So tonight it was only to present the proposal to council, and our plan was to bring back more info and the more detail for the next council meeting to take a position at that time.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll open up to members of council. Any questions from this? Councillor Deacon.
I'm hearing you say that perhaps the north and south sections, that was maybe a recent discussion. In your slides, you had 100 acres listed, and then in our financial modeling, we have 25, I think, in the table. So I'm just looking to confirm that that this is new information, that it's landed around 45, and so it'll be a rejigging and taking another look at that.
Mr. Bougon?
So for the exercise, to give council an example, we only based ourselves on the old sand pit, which we're sure that we can maximize that area. As for the rest, we still need to discuss to exactly the portion of the land can be used. So that's why we only based ourselves on the example of 25,
Okay.
with the potential of covering more ground.
Okay. Good.
I'll ask another
Absolutely.
question, if I may.
Yeah.
This one, I think, is more for administration. In the report that came to council, there's a reference to a meeting that was done at the Environmental Advisory Committee, acknowledging that more investigations and the possibility are required. I just want to do a double check that at this point, the committee understands that this is a matter that council and administration will work through and that it won't be going back to committee, or were they expecting another consultation?
Mr. Bougon?
So the presentation to the committee was to at least get the support, but for moving forward, it would be from between administration and council.
And do we have that letter of support, the resolution?
No, we don't. It will be presented to council at our.
As part of the package?
For the next council
Okay,
meeting. Yeah.
thank you. Councillor Lalonde?
Merci. Just a couple of questions maybe for Monsieur Bourgon. And I expect maybe we'll hear the answers to them when administration comes back with its own analysis. But I picked up on the option or the opportunity to own up to or about 10% if the landowner wants to have the opportunity to have some ownership in that. And I expect you'll be able to guide or give advice as to whether we want to do that or try to get more of that even. I'd be interested in hearing that as part of your report. And maybe also, again, coming back to us, is I guess I appreciate that Bright Diamond is the consulting firm, but the actual owner of the solar panel system is a group that you're representing that we don't know about just yet. And I expect we'll have that kind of detail the next time you come back.
Mr. Bougon?
Well, I will definitely have the conversation with the consultant to determine what are exactly known at that point with the letter of intent.
Okay. Councillor Deacon?
Just a question on the vegetation that is on the site, perhaps on the north side. My understanding is that there have been community-led tree planting in that location over the last decade or so. So I'm not expecting an answer to this question tonight, but hoping that when this does return to council, that there will be some more clarity on what might happen with those trees, if they'd be able to be moved, relocated, for example.
Okay. Mr. Godet, Mr. Bougon?
Thank you. So that's got to be part of the analysis for how much ground or land can be used.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for being here tonight and giving us this presentation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
All right, so now we will move to item 11A, zoning bylaw amendment report PD 2024-08 for property known as 766 Notre Dame Street in Embrun. Any questions from members of council on this item? Anything additional from staff? Mr. Godin, I see you shaking your head no, so we'll move on from there. Move to item 11B, official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment report PD 2024-10, submitted by Eric Brisson, owner of OCS Holdings Inc. for the property known as 986 North Russell Road in Russell. I will make one note that that there is one amendment, so I will pass over to you, Mr. Bourgon, for that, to this report. I think there was a word or two that needed to be added. Mr. Bourgon?
Thank you. So, yeah, there's a precision in the, was included in the bylaw in the package, referred to allow a commercial building, but the amendment would read as follow: allow a commercial building consisting of a restaurant or a non-residential use listed under the local commercial zone, maximum size of 1,500 square meters. So it's a precision of the type of use in the building.
Okay, thank you. Madame Camille, so has that already been done, or do we have to add the amendment to add that wording?
Yes, so we received this only this morning, so it wasn't in the package.
Okay,
So we'll need to.
so we'll add the amendment, so we'll remove this item from our consent items?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions from members of council on this one? No? Item 11C, rapport sur les applications d'octroi 2023, quatrième quartier, rapport CSAS-FS 2024-05. C'est des questions du membre du conseil? Non? Monsieur Godin, Monsieur Dagenet, pas de questions là-dessus, pas d'autres commentaires? OK. Move to summary of purchases awarded over 25,000, report CSAS-FS 2024-06. The council received report CS, okay. We don't any questions from members of council on that item? Pretty standard, we get that every quarter. Good. Summary of sponsorships, advertising, and donations for 2023, report CSAS-FS 2024-07. Questions from members of council? No? Monsieur Godin, Monsieur Dagenet? No? Okay. Taux d'imposition finaux 2024, report CSAS-FS 2024-08. This is for the final tax rates for all categories, being set at 4% as approved by council in the 2024 budget. Questions from members of council? No. Monsieur Godin, anything from staff? Monsieur Dagenet? No. Item G, noise bylaw exemption request for Summerfest 2024, report PIC 2024-03. We get these every year around this time for the summer festivals and whatnot. Pretty standard. Nothing changed, Madame Boldeau? No changes. Any questions? No? Okay. Noise exemption for the Russell Fair, report PIC 2024-04. Same thing, no changes. Okay. Questions from council? No? We've already done item I, the solar panels. We'll move to item J. Subventions et contributions communautaires, rapport PR 2024-04. Je vais lire ceux-là, que le conseil reçoive le rapport PR 2024-04 daté du 13 mai 2024 et adopte. Approuver un don en nature additionnel d'un montant de 182 $ au 5 Cyclones Air Cadet Squadron pour la location de la salle du centre communautaire Camille Piché pour l'examen et pratique du cérémonie annuelle du 14 au 25 mai 2024 et approuver un don en nature additionnel d'un montant de 185 $ à l'association Raymond Muslim pour la location de la salle centre communautaire Camille Piché pour la collecte de fonds multiculturels Taste of Russell qui aura lieu le 2 juin 2024. As-tu des questions du membre du conseil là-dessus? Non. OK. Festival license for a special event with alcohol beverages, Russell Fair 2024, report PR 2024-05. Madame Baudot, any changes to that? Oh, Madame Guital, sorry. Madame Guital, any changes?
No, it's
Standard one for the fair? Questions from council? Another festival license for a special event with alcoholic beverages, Summerfest 2024, report PR 2024-06. So we see that there are corresponding reports for the noise exemptions, for the request for the beverages as well. Questions from members of council? Hearing none. Move to item M, amendment to the fire and protection agreement with Nation Municipality, report fire 2024-02. Any questions from members of council on this item? No? Chief, anything to add on this? Through you, Mr. Godin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. So specifically, this is just to add for fire protection services with the route closure of Route 300. It's our delayed response out of the Embrun Fire Station. So we're asking with council's approval that Limoges Fire responds south of Highway 417 to the Four Corners because of our delayed response. It's already in effect, but we just need your approval. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. We're going to move to item N, 2025 annual walk. Annual Walk the Street the Night Women Without Fear report CSASCL 2024-04. I believe there are two parts to this. One is that we accept to host the event, and two, that we have a council designate on that. I believe, let's just take this one out of the report, because I think there's going to be an amendment that we defer the decision for council designate until Councillor Taranowski returns, in case he wishes to participate in that event. I would hate to exclude somebody who might want to be the participant, okay, or the designate. Any questions on this item? Councillor Deacon.
I just want to note that there's some synergy happening here, and the timing, I think, is really important and good. Nobody should be afraid to walk on the streets of their own community, and this is what this event is about, and that we could be hosting it here in 2025 would be to make a statement that everybody deserves to be safe in their community and walking together for that purpose. Unfortunately, I have been hearing recently about street harassment occurring in some of our villages. Just as recently as last week, I was told about a woman who was targeted with insults and physical intimidation on the sidewalk based on her clothing. And just to say that, you know, it's very disheartening to hear of occurrences like this. And we all have a responsibility to respond. The Diversity Committee is discussing organizing bystander training for our community in the hopes that many partners and residents and leaders will come out to learn how we can all do our part to intervene when we see issues of harassment happening. And yeah, just looking forward to deciding when we have Mayor Tarnowski here as well, next meeting, that we can figure out who our designate will be to do this aspect of it as well, and hopefully bring some real meaningful partnerships together.
Yep, absolutely. Councillor Lalonde, you're good? Okay. Excellent. I think it's a wonderful event, and I think it makes absolute sense to support this and to bring that here. Anything from administration on that, Mr. Godin? This is going through which department? The clerk's office. Okay, perfect. Anything on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, so just we have been doing this a few years in the past, and now it's in L'Orignal this year, and they just want to pass the flame, so it comes here. So it's a great opportunity to participate and have it in our municipality. So
Excellent. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item O, Employee Assistance Program Report CSAS 2024-01. Any questions from members of council on this item? I mean, obviously, the health and well-being of our staff is extremely important, and I think it's fantastic that we have this. So, Monsieur Godin, Monsieur Dagenet. Is that who's handling this one? So we're good? No other additional comments? Okay. P, recommendation 2024-002 of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee for Phase 2 development of the old train station in Embrun. So what is being asked here is that council receive the recommendation from the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Advisory Committee with respect to Phase 2 of the development of the old train station in Embrun. There was a presentation done at the meeting a few weeks ago, and the committee endorsed the continuation of this program, of this project. So that's something for council to look at. Any questions on this? No? Madame Guital, any additional comments? No? And then another one from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, the naming of Saint Thomas Park. We had, at the committee, we had been presented with a request to name a park in honor of the people around that area. Madame Guital, I'll let you continue with that one.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, by interim and council. We did have a request from Mr. Jean Cloutier to rename the park after the Dazi and the Cloutier families that have been there from 75 to 100 years. So those were the land of those two families. So Mr. Cloutier was requesting that we name the St. Thomas Park after Cloutier Dazi Park. So the presentation was done. The request was presented to the PRAC committee on April 18th, and it was the recommendation was received by the PRAC and approved. So we're bringing this to council tonight. And this is also part of the naming parks policy that we have within the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, it goes to the PRAC committee first, then comes to us. So now tonight, we're just receiving the recommendation.
Yes.
Are you looking for direction tonight?
I would think so, because after the council, there's no more authority to go to, so you have the final say on this.
So
Unless you would request more information.
So, Monsieur Godin, do you need a resolution or direction?
Merci, Mr. Chair. Bonsoir, Chambre du Conseil. So to get this enacted, to get this approved and moving forward, we would need to modify the resolution, if I'm not mistaken, to approve the recommendation.
Okay, so let's separate this one out, Madame Camille. So I think that's a couple of them. Yeah, that's a good question. So the one before two with the recommendation regarding the development of the Phase 2, are we just receiving that one tonight, or are you asking for direction as well from us, or a resolution, or is that going to come back with more financial commitments of council?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for this, I guess we would be looking as for a recommendation again, because not recommend resolution to be approved, to go back to the committee to tell them that they have, the go-ahead to start their work for Phase 2. They were looking into getting some work to be done with the engineering and architecture. So that was the approved amount that they received, $9,700, and they wanted also township to be paying half of those costs. We do have the funds in the for the train station. We have some reserve money, so we could use that. But that's only if council is willing to entertain the Phase 2.
Okay, Mr. Godin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For this one, I would just recommend that, so for now, it is being presented just to receive it, but I would recommend to ask the administration to bring back a report, just given that there's financial implications and potentially budget allocations to look at.
So can you bring back a report at the next meeting? Yep. Okay, so we'll just receive that one. Is that good? Okay. All right, so, Councillor Lalonde.
I just, on the naming of the park, just a question on the original name being Saint Thomas did it come from anywhere special or?
No.
Was curious
Madame
to
Guiteau?
know.
Because it was a St. Thomas development.
On the
so
street. It was on
that's
St.
how we
Thomas
named
Street.
it. That was nothing else.
Okay, perfect. So move to item 12, reports from an investigator or an ombudsman. We have none. Avis de motion, we have none. Questions on meeting of the day. So just a reminder, questions must be in relation to an item on the agenda, and if you can please state which item it is, that would be great. Before asking a question, please fill in your name and address on the sign-in sheet. If you wish to receive a response from a member of council or staff, please leave a phone number or email on the sheet. And then just state your name to members of council before asking your question. So just your name when you speak to us. And just note that there's a disclaimer, by asking questions during council meeting, you are consenting to be part of the live broadcast and the official public recording of the proceedings. Alors, s'il y a des questions, if there's any questions, please step up to the podium.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor, sir, whatever is appropriate. I have a couple of questions on 11I. Is that sand pit area a part of the Esker recharge area? And if it is, does that mean an environmental assessment is required?
Okay, Mr. Godin, Mr. Bourgon, you got the two questions?
Yes, so it's something I'll have to validate to come back with an answer.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
What provisions are made for decommissioning solar sites after their useful life?
Okay.
There have been some questions elsewhere.
Mr. Godin, Mr. Bourgon, I'm assuming you're going to come back to me with an answer?
Yeah, so I'll have a discussion with the consultant, and I can include that answer part of our report in the upcoming week.
Thank you very much.
And finally, this is one company's proposal. Are there other companies out there that the township may be able to go out with a request for proposals for?
Mr. Godin, Mr. Bourgon?
Maybe, but that's the only one that brought forward the proposals for our consideration.
Okay, doesn't mean that we can't look, right? Okay, thank you very much for your questions this evening, Mr. Armstrong. Are there any other questions from members of the public? Est-il d'autres questions du membre du public? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move to resolutions. Motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under items 11, reports from departments and council committees. This is moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deacon. I believe we've got an amendment to remove a couple of different ones, Madame Camille.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have 11B, N, and Q.
B, N,
N.
and Q.
Yes.
Okay, so the amendment is to remove B, N, and Q from the consent items. This is moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deacon. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Now we're going to do the amended motion for all of the consent items except for B, N, and Q. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. We'll go to item B, 11B. So this is the official plan amendment. I'm going to defer to Monsieur Bourgon to add the wording of the amendment, and then we'll get a mover and a seconder for the amendment.
Mr. Chair, the amendment is not in the resolution itself, so it's in the bylaw.
Oh, it's in the bylaw?
Yes.
Okay, so
So-
we can approve the amendment without, we can approve the resolution without having to deal with the amendment? Okay. So this is moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deacon. Any questions? No? All those in favor? Motion is carried. We'll move to item N, like Nancy. And this is the annual walk. So I think there's a motion to defer the council designate piece. So it would be that council received report CSAS CL 2024-04 dated May 13, 2024, and that council accept to host the 2025 annual Walk the Street the Night Women Without Fear, which will be organized in collaboration with the Saint Novas Calax Francophone de Prescott-Russell, to be held in September 2025 in Embrun, a date to be determined by the organizing committee, and we would stop it there. So we would remove everything else after that. No, we would remove the next paragraph, and then we would keep that council assign the clerk, Joanne Camille Laflamme, as the municipal representative of the organizing committee, and that council approve budget undertaking for this event during its 2025 budget deliberations. So let's get it on the table. It's moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. And then the amendment is to remove that paragraph in the middle. Again, moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. Questions or comments? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Now, as amended, all those in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. I think it'll be a wonderful event in our community to host. And then we are moving to item Q, and this would be the recommendation from the naming of the St. Thomas Park. So I'm going to get it on the table. Moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. It's on the table, and we want to add, and that council approves the naming of the park as the Daze Cloutier or Cloutier Daze? Cloutier Daze Park. So Parc Cloutier Daze, right? So moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion is carried. Now on the main motion as amended, this is already moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. All those in favor? And that motion is now carried. Excellent. Now we will move to bylaws. So we're going to have to separate one out then to add the amendment, and that would be the second one. So motion that council approve bylaws 2024-035 to 2024-039 inclusively for first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. So bylaw 2024-035, 2024-036, 2024-037, 2024-038, and 2024-039. Get that on the table, and then we'll remove the one. So moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. So now we're going to amend it to remove 2024-036.
37.
37.
Oh, 37, I apologize.
There's two for the same report.
There's two for the
that's
same one,
why.
but it's the
Yeah.
second one.
Yes.
Okay. So 037 is the one that we're going to remove. So moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin to remove 037. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Now, approve the main motion with 035, 36, 38, and 39 as amended. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Now we'll move back to 2024-037. Again, moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. And Monsieur Bourgon, you have the amendment wording?
Yes, so for section 3.2, we're removing that sentence and replacing it by allow a commercial building consisting of a restaurant or a non-residential use listed under the local commercial zone, maximum size 1,500 square meters.
Okay. Madame Camille, you have that? Okay. You're okay to move it, Councillor Lalonde? You're okay to second it, Councillor Deakin? All those in favor? The motion is carried. All right, we'll move to number 17, new business reports. We have none. Move to number 18, other business presented by council members. 18A, So I've asked, I had a request from a resident to comment on the federal government's hybrid work, back to work, what's that called, directive, I guess it would be, starting in September, and impacts on the township, potential financial impacts on the township. So I asked Mr. Godin to look into that, and if you don't mind just saying a couple of words on that, Mr. Godin. I shared it with members of council as well, so you've already seen the response, but Mr. Godin?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, just to give it a bit of context, so the federal government did announce a back to the office mandate, which requires federal employees to work from the office at least 3 days a week. That's up from two days a week, which is the current practice. And so there has been, there's Mayor Nancy Beckford from North Grenville who's spoken up against this policy, just citing some negative impacts that it could have on local economies for townships outside of Ottawa. So after Mr. Chair, Lauren asked me to look into this. Basically, we don't have any concrete data, or we haven't had any studies done in the last few weeks on this. But since the pandemic, and since we've returned to the pandemic with a lot of work from home, there has definitely been some stories from local businesses how it really helped them. It helped the business, the economy of the local businesses. As far as going from 2 days to 3 days to the office, it's very hard to quantify, so it's pretty much anecdotal at this point in time as far as if there's a real impact on our local businesses, but it is definitely something to consider as far as the impact on the economy.
Okay. So the reason I brought it was to say, is council wanted a position on this, or are we going to just move forward with how we've not taken an actual position on it, like most municipalities in the neighboring area have not made any statements that I've been made aware of. But if council wants a resolution or something, we can have that at the next meeting. But otherwise, it was just for informational purposes because there was a request from a resident on this item. So, any questions, Councillor Deakin?
I listened to this with great interest, Mayor Peckford's interview that she did on CFRA. I completely understand her rationale, the way that she has seen her community grow, as has ours in the past few years, the different patterns that her local businesses are seeing in terms of more foot traffic at cafes, more folks buying their groceries, their gas locally. Also just the fact that folks that are driving into Ottawa for what will be an additional day in the fall as of now is the parking that they'll be paying, the fact that here we are not connected to Ottawa Transit in any way. And therefore, it will harm our local folks' ability to get home to their families at the end of the day. It'll be much more difficult for young families with childcare to make the childcare cutoffs with the commute that they'll be having. So I did reach out to Mayor Peckford to see if she was intending to do a support resolution at her table, that I would be prepared if she were to do a resolution addressed to her local MP and the Treasury Board, that I would do the same here. And I haven't heard back from her as of yet, but
Okay.
if I could see something developing before the next meeting, and if it does, I'll be very happy to bring that to this table, but because it will harm our local community in many ways, especially the businesses. And so I do believe that we should be speaking up.
Okay. So we'll look forward to that if that comes our way then. Okay. Excellent. The next item that I added was for the RISE, which stands for Reach, Inspire, Soar, and Empower. They're holding what's called the Challenge Hockey Tournament and Summit on Diversity and Inclusion. It's their second annual event that they're holding. It's in Ottawa. Last year it was at Carleton University. This year it's at Ottawa University. And they have some amazing speakers that are going to be at this event. They were looking to see whether or not Township wanted to get in on potential sponsorship of a team or any type of sponsorship idea. I told them I'd bring it to council to have a look at. I know that to attend the event, I think their tickets on their website are about $55 or $60 for the day. It includes there's hockey clinics and the tournament going on. They're going to have a keynote speaker, Beyond Their Years documentary and panel discussion. There'll be a lunch provided. There'll be youth panel discussions. And again, more hockey clinics and an activity open, center open. They will have a presentation regarding the incredible legacies of Herb Carnegie and Buck O'Neill during the event, hosted by Bernice and Renee Carnegie. So if you're interested in attending the event, please feel free. Regarding diversity in sport, it's an amazing thing. And I mean, we looked at, when we look at our recreation complex and we talk about inclusion, I think, it really hits home when you see an event like this and how we have to look at that type of, those types of things when we're building new facilities and stuff. So very proud of how that's going to go. But I just brought it to council for review, and whether or not, we can discuss it after, whether or not we want to support as a group or whether we not just want to support. I know I'll be buying a ticket to the event. I'm hoping to attend. I'm hoping to be able to attend at least some of the day's events. But I'm open up to council if you want to say a few words, Councillor Deacon, as well.
Thank you. I was also contacted through another community member about this event, and I think that is one that we should fully support. I will take the step to inform all of the members of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, who I believe may have a specific interest in this. But I'd also like to see if we can make sure that the local minor hockey associations are aware of the event and are encouraged to attend as well. I'm not sure if we've had connection with them or contact, but making sure that this is on their radar and a priority for them, as well as they're delivering the hockey programming here locally more than anyone else.
Yeah, I'll reach out to the three hockey associations and make sure they know of the event. And I think, how many people are on the diversity committee?
As of today, we unfortunately had a resignation. I think we're at maybe 6 or 7 now.
Okay.
7.
So we're talking $500 if they all wanted to attend this event. Is that something that council would be prepared to cover costs for the diversity committee if they wanted to go and attend the event?
Absolutely.
Okay. Split it amongst all 4 of our discretionary budgets? Okay. Monsieur Godin, just so you know that may come through, and that council is giving direction that that's something that we will do on a reimbursement basis. And tickets you can get the tickets on their website, on the RISE website. Look for the Challenge Hockey Tournament and Summit on Diversity and Inclusion. Thank you very much for the information as well, Councillor Deacon. All right. Move to item number 19, public consultations and hearing. We have none. Announcements. I think Councillor Deacon has an announcement on a wonderful event that she hosted on Friday.
What a team effort it was. So on Friday, the very inaugural teen forum was held at Salle Camille Pichet. We had 70 youth from local high schools participate. Not only participate and show up to share their inputs, but also to lead in the delivery of the day. And so I want to give special thanks to members of the township administration that supported the young folks to put together that event and came out. Fire services were there, Parks and Recreation, as well the public library was there, and some other service providers from our community. I also want to thank Mayor Lorrain, who attended and made remarks. And again, just a big thank you to the teens who led the day and problem solved on their feet and really brought out the best of the young people that were in the room in terms of their ideas and their enthusiasm for their community.
Excellent. And, you can just see the youthful exuberance of all those teenagers in that room when I got there. And I was only there in the morning before all the sugar kicked in, so I could just imagine by the end of the day. So great job with that. Councillor Lalonde.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Councillor Deakin for all the work and effort she put into developing that initiative in the first place. For a long time, having worked in recreation at the local level with our then Russell Recreation Association, one of the greatest challenges we had and we talked about often is that what were we going to do with the youth that weren't interested in sport and recreation? And we didn't have an answer for that. And we, for many years, couldn't come up with an answer as to what you can do with youth when they're not interested in sport. And I think this event helps to answer that question big time. You can engage them in other ways. You can hold these kinds of events, and you can get that group into a room thinking about new ideas and new opportunities. That's what you can do with them, and I'm grateful to Councillor Deakin for championing that cause.
Excellent. Councillor Deakin.
Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that two things. The work continues. We'll be going to École Secondaire Catholique d'Embrun on May 29th to continue the consultation with students from that school as well. The school had requested that we go to them rather than them coming to us. So we're fulfilling that on May 29th. And that it was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of learning, and there are clear requests and recommendations coming from that committee as well. And just because these are younger folks doesn't mean that we shouldn't be listening to what they have to say about these youth issues here just as much as any other resident. So
Absolutely.
Stay tuned.
Look forward to seeing some of those recommendations come out. All right, the other item I'd like to just make a quick announcement regarding the community event that happened this weekend. I want to say the 22nd annual Pout Masters event. I know it started way back when with Stephen Ion as a fundraiser for cancer research, and it has just grown and grown and grown and grown over the years. And I know the Kin Club took it up a few years back, and they've continued that tradition, which is an absolutely amazing tradition that has happened. And I think I've attended about 15 of those events over the years, said some words, and I think yesterday was the largest crowd that I've ever seen on a Sunday afternoon. So just a testament to the community that comes out and supports our events like this. Again, to all the volunteers, all the sponsors, staff that are there helping out. And anybody who participated. They had 399 registrants this year, the most they've ever had. They blew the number out of the water. I think it was like 325 was the previous record. So just amazing. So now it's just, now you sit back and go, could we get a 4 in the number next year? So the weather held off pretty nicely for them all weekend, and a little bit of rain, but you know what? The mud pout came out a little bit better in the rain, so I think it was a great event. So thank you to everyone who participated, and looking forward again next year. With that, we will move to the next item, strategic discussions. We have none. Closed sessions, we have none. Confirming bylaw. That bylaw 2024 040. I was going to take a shot at it, but being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Russell at its regular council meeting held May 13, 2024, to be read a first, second, and third time and passed. Moved for one last time tonight, Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Our next meeting, next regular public meeting of council will be held on Monday, May 27th, 2024. And just a notice on that day, there will be a public meeting at 4 o'clock for the official plan discussion. So if you can make it, that would be fantastic. Have a great night, everybody. Meeting is adjourned at 7:16 p.m.